Now, it's pretty well known that what makes a great video game is between atmosphere, gameplay, including one with likable characters. But throughout that certain way, we have to remember certain areas that made the game either more hyped up or more easier to explore. So in this video, I'm going to be going over my favorite spots in all video games. Let's get into it. Fallout 3, between the main opening once you leave the vault. Now, between anybody who could tell you, Fallout 3 to most people is considered a masterpiece, including one of the world's best RPGs made by Bethesda Studios. But between the outstanding appeal to the atmosphere of the world, interesting gunplay, including RPG mechanics showing how you build your character, it all goes pretty well. But what really kept me hyped up throughout the whole game is pretty outstanding. And though yes, the game has a multitude of NPCs with likable characters.
How do you like that there Pip-Boy, miss? Fit all right and everything? As a matter of fact, I did. I'm glad you like it. Don't mention it. I almost forgot. Happy birthday. Not much, but I hope you like it.
And not so much so likable characters.
I am Dave, President of the Republic of Dave. You will address me as Mr. President, or I will have you executed. You suck!
So between stuff like that going around the whole game, but what really kept me hyped to actually explore it was the actual real opening, what happens when you first leave the vault. Just take a look between this massive open world that has your appeal to it the moment you leave the vault. Between the atmosphere, the proper lighting, and seeing what's going on in front of you, it's outstanding. Not to mention, between the apathy of the music going on in the background throughout this scene, it's outstanding. And I highly recommend you guys get a front good view once you leave Vault 101. Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Doomsday. Now, between Fallout New Vegas, I had constantly having fun throughout the main game between the open world and pretty much having the same amount of elements in Fallout 3 had, but managed to upgrade them even further. But however, the area that I would be talking about doesn't take place throughout the main game. However, it does take place into the Roadsome Road DLC. This has to be one of my favorite DLCs to be in video games, though the atmosphere of the world has been downgraded to be more havoc around the such, how you'll be constantly going after new mobs, new side missions, including along with new weapons. But despite all the interesting stuff I have seen throughout this DLC, my favorite has to be between the very end. Between once the endless battles, constant healing, including frustration throughout this DLC, you have finally made it to the launch site. Now, between anybody can think you can send these nukes any way you want, but of course there's always choices. So choose wisely but what you pick. But to me, and all of my favorite such, that I like if you blow up the NCR, including along with Legion. And of course, the outstanding dialogue that has been said between the main character is outstanding at the same time.
The couriers finally really did it. They blew up the lands west and east of the Mojave, damning them all to hell. The act was discovered 200 years later as other couriers explored the Mojave wastes. There, they saw NCR relics, reminders of their once proud history.
And as you exited out the cave, you will be greeted to a massive nuclear destruction across the wasteland, as you see between the fallen of the NCR, including along with the Legion. Now, the reason why this is actually one of my favorite spots throughout a Fallout is regarding because it matches between Fallout 3's atmosphere, between everything that's going on in front of you, living with the true amount of consequences you might have to face between what you picked. But to be granted to anybody else, this could be good if you're going for a heart-wrenching between more story, or you just want to go for the best-looking armor between NCR, including along with the Legion too. Granted, though, you may have to kill hundreds of people just to get this armor, though quite to think of it, it kinda is a bit worth it, I ain't gonna lie. I'm a terrible person. BioShock Infinite, the moment you open the door. Between most people you may talk to about BioShock Infinite, one of the main subjects that might come up, it might be between the world you have to explore to progress into the main game. Take a look to the groundbreaking architecture around the open side. How I always get a great glimpse of going what's in front of me, seeing how big the city is, seeing how amount of guns I have access to, and a very likable character who is actually one of the most useful companions I have ever seen.
Miss Elizabeth.
Hello. Oh, this is wonderful. Oh, come dance with me, Mr. DeWitt.
I don't dance. Come on, let's go.
Why? What could be better than this?
Though I will agree that this shot is rather impressive, how I really got the overview of the whole city, but however, it has to go throughout this whole scene. Now, once you tween to open these doors, you're going to be introduced to the most beautiful worlds I have ever seen in video games, to the groundbreaking architecture, the outstanding appeal in the atmosphere, to the actual true feeling of the music that goes around this whole city. Everything around this whole world is outstanding. If anything, I can credit this all a masterpiece. Modern Warfare 3, The Destruction of a Country. You need to know something. The Modern Warfare series is notorious for bringing controversial scenes throughout their video games. This could be related to the famous airport scene back in Modern Warfare 2. Now, you take the form of a gunman going against the airport in Russia, but as you see, you manage to find yourself gunning down innocent people all at once. Now, between like most people and myself, I was very offended by this scene by all in general. In fact, this scene was so controversial, there was news outlets going against the developers of this game. But thankfully, between a past update that was in Modern Warfare 2, they managed for you to actually just skip the mission all in general, which was pretty nice. And if anything, we should probably forget about this scene. But still, despite all of that, you find yourself going against Paris trying to defend off between your troops. But as it turns out, right after the gunfight has ended and the reinforcements have came, you would see that something terrible has happened to the legendary Eiffel Tower. And as you see, this leaning tower is starting to come down between the fallen country of Paris. This goes to show between the apathy of this war, it got more brutal than we actually expected, making everybody going for a more harsher ride against this whole battle. Metal Gear Solid 4, The Fall of Liquid Snake. The Metal Gear series is notorious for having one of the most confusing storylines throughout all video games since PlayStation 2, and having so much dialogue, they managed to keep it interesting by all landslides.
I stopped you. Why would I want to do that? This is just as I'd hoped things would end.
Now, between what you witnessed throughout this whole series, between the backtracking, between you getting confused constantly, you going against endless boss fights that seem like they don't want to die, but despite all of that, this ending is absolutely brilliant. Great reason why is this scene best well known by gamers alike is regarding because the beautiful craftical fight scene that goes around, they're beautifully animated, the course of dialogue goes on throughout this whole scene outstanding, and of course, the atmosphere, well, it pretty much speaks for all itself. Same goes wrong with the music as well, and as anybody could think, anything as usual I went over with throughout the whole list, this is all the above. Please guys, go check this one out. I'll leave it in the description down below, and if you guys did actually enjoy the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.